New Mexico has a paltry 5 electoral votes. Not much to get excited about, you'd think, but it's become one of the battleground states because the last few elections have been very close. And like other battleground states, it had its share of problems with electronic voting machines.
Maybe I want to vote for George Bush. John Kerry!
And when the results started to come in, that's when things got strange.
Judy Woodruff, help our viewers understand why we're now going back from the too close to call green column to the white column.
Well, we're trying to figure all this out right now, Wolf. Apparently what has happened is that the Associated Press, they were feeding numbers into us, and then suddenly those numbers changed. In other words, there was about, I'm told, a 2,000 to 6,000 vote margin between President Bush's position and John Kerry's position, and then that margin grew suddenly.
Ultimately, the state went to George Bush by an official margin of around 6,000 votes. But a close look at those results had a lot of people concerned.
And it was also concerning to the Green and Libertarian parties who asked for a recount, who filed for a recount of the presidential election in the state. The state canvassing board decided to ask for the entire amount of a recount, to pay for a recount up front, $1.4 million. And they asked for that to be deposited within, I think it was 3 or 4 days, which of course was not possible.
That the numbers changed, and sometimes these things happen.
A battle ensued against touchscreen voting. Citizen activists joined together to lobby the legislature and bring lawsuits. Eventually they won, and paper ballots became mandatory in the state. One of the leaders in that fight was a woman named Pat Lehan.
And we work on a variety of issues there at the center. We actually use a model where the community shapes the work. So all kinds of issues come in. We don't bring the agenda to the community, they bring their issues to us. And one of the issues that came before us was election integrity. But one of my biggest concerns now is what we just learned a couple of weeks ago about how our data are handled on election night. So on election night in New Mexico, the polls close, and we've all gotten to vote on paper, which feels really good, but it's the electronic count that actually matters. The paper ballot is marked by the voter, it's fed into an ES&S M100 optical scan machine, and then it's electronically counted. And then when the polls close, the presiding judge takes that memory card, it's called a PCM CIA card, and that is taken out of each optical scan machine, safely and securely delivered to the county clerk's office, and then the county clerk puts it in what's called an Omni drive. It's an industrial a card reader, and that Omni drive is plugged into each county clerk's computer. And then the county clerk then types in a web address and electronically, via the internet, sends those election results to, I always want to say, to our Secretary of State, who we elected to run our elections, but it's not sent to her. It's actually sent to a company called Seawolf, Auburn Seawolf LLC. And Auburn Seawolf is actually Jonathan and Sandra Ryan. They're the owners of that company, and they live in Tijeras, New Mexico. And so the servers that receive our election night data in New Mexico, those servers are located in the basement of the home of Jonathan and Sandra Ryan.
So, our votes end up here. Seawolf maintains these servers without any oversight. The Ryans are also responsible for programming the cards that tally the votes in each machine. Now, here's an email from the Deputy County Clerk of Bernalillo County, the biggest in the state, saying he has no idea what happens to the data once he uploads it to Seawolf, and maybe we should ask the contractor that hired Seawolf. So it must be the Secretary of State's office that counts the votes against the signature rosters, right? Well, here's an email from the Secretary of State saying that the county clerks do the counting.
It's not completely clear what the canvassing process involves in the state. I know the county clerks are involved in it, and the Secretary of State's office is involved in that. But there are instances in which data have gone all the way through the system and been shown to not necessarily be reconciled. There was a precinct in Bernalillo County in 2006 that had about 300 more votes counted than there were signatures on the roster, in a district in which one candidate beat the other by about 800 votes.
Seawolf is at the heart of all this. So far, Jonathan Ryan has only said 2 words to reporters: no comment. But if I could just get them to give me an interview, there'll be no more confusion. I have to try. This is Auburn and Seawolf. Hi.
Hello.
Hey, Jonathan.
Yes, can I help you?
I'm here because a friend of a friend called and asked if I could help out in the run-up to the elections with doing some reporting. And
I'm sorry, we have no comment.
yeah, so you're enjoying your 15 minutes of fame?
Not really.
Yeah, I know. Well, and I just wanted to come in person because I know you haven't commented to other reporters who'd asked. But because in my experience, the people who don't comment end up looking bad, you know, and
My experience is, and if you just look at the national news, anybody who does comment is going to end up looking bad.
yeah, so,
If you're going to end up looking bad, I'd rather do it with no comment.
right, okay. I'm just trying to track the path of a vote, you know, that's my assignment, is like from registration to the election night.
Secretary of State's office.
Yeah, I am. But, so I was just hoping that you guys might want to, you know, say, yeah, here's where it comes to us. This is our server. This is what, no, can't talk you into it.
Nope.
Okay, well,
I assume your camera is not home.
well, it's on for audio. I'm not pointing it at you for a reason, but just in case we never got to speak again. I just wanted to at least get me trying to talk to you. Okay. This is my cell phone.
Hey.
Okay. Well, good luck. I hope if anything comes up and you want to talk to me about it, don't hesitate to call.
Like I say, talk to the Secretary of State's office.
Yeah, I will. Yeah. Thanks. Amazingly, the Secretary of State's office is proving almost as hard to get information out of as Seawolf. We'll have more on that in part 2 of this story.